Hi guys, good evening, and welcome to our Unite gathering. So for this month of July, we'll be going through a series entitled Money Matters, because how we handle our finances matters to God as well. Did you know that 1/2 of Jesus' parables mention money, and 1/3 of those parables talk about making wise investments? So that is why we will be going through with this series for this month. So I hope we all are excited for that. Proverbs 3 verse 9 to 10 says, "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine." So for every promise that God has given us in the Bible, there is always a premise to it. So for this verse in the book of Proverbs, what is the promise here? The promise is that our barns will be filled to overflowing. Who wants overflowing here? I bet all of us want overflowing, right? So in order for us to experience overflowing, what should we do? What is the premise? To honor God with our wealth. So how do we honor God with our wealth? We honor God by building healthy habits. So tonight, I'll be sharing some healthy habits that we should develop in order to be financially healthy. First habit is we must trust God as our source and supplier. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." And Romans 11:36 also says, "Everything comes from God and exists by His power and is intended for His glory." So whatever skills, abilities, and talents you've developed over time, God has given that to you in order for Him to be glorified and to be an aid for you to produce wealth. God uses our work and the business that is entrusted to us as a channel for His supply. Just like a faucet, when you turn on a faucet to wash your hands, you know that there is a water source, right? What happens if there's no water source and the faucet is there? The faucet is useless, diba? So same as us, whatever we have right now, we plug into our source, and that is God, because He is our source and supplier. And because we put our trust in Him, then our channel, it will flow smoothly. The second habit we must develop is we must first give our 10% back to God. And that is the principle of tithing. So what is the purpose of tithing? Deuteronomy 14:23b, it says, "The purpose of tithing is to teach you always to put God first in your lives." And Proverbs 3:9 to 10 also says, "Honor the Lord by giving Him the first part of your income, and He will fill your barns to overflowing." So you see another promise and premise here. The promise that God will fill our barns to overflowing. And the premise is to tithe, to give our first 10% back to God. I am blessed that growing up, we have learned this principle. As simple as our weekly baon, we must set aside 10% of it to give to the church as our tithe. So my mom taught me before, medyo lisod di ang 10% for a child to comprehend and compute, diba? So what she teaches us is, i-move na mo 1 decimal place to the left. So if example, our baon is 100 pesos per week. So i-move na mo 1 decimal place to the left, and that is the 10%. So it's 10 pesos, diba? So that's how we were taught growing up how to tithe. And as the years go by, as we grow older, mas naging dako ang 10%, diba? But it wasn't hard for us to give because we already practiced that even when we were young. So I'm grateful for that. But for you, if you haven't practiced tithing yet, it's still not too late. Set aside 10% for the Lord. Why? Because, again, back to the first principle, God is our source and supplier. And as we recognize that, we must put Him first. It is important that in everything we do, we put Him first, even in the aspect of our finances. And I'm sure God will allow everything to fall into place. How you budget, how you save, and a lot more. So our next habit is, the third habit is, we must keep good records. Kani mo gini akong weakness. I am amazed that this principle is also found in the Bible. In Proverbs 27 verse 23 to 24, it says, "Riches can disappear fast, so watch your business interests closely. Know the state of your flocks and your herds." So what does it mean to know the state of your flocks and your herds? In the Old Testament, the gauge of their wealth is their flocks and their herds. And that is their form of currency. So for us, our money, diba? So let us know where our money goes. We are suggested to keep a good record on 4 aspects: what you owe, what you earn, what you own, and where your money is going. Who here keeps a record on their expenses? They keep receipts, galista kung asa ilang money going, asa nila ibutang ilang savings and all. That's not me. But it's a skill that I want to develop. So recently, I'm using this app called Debt Tracker para ma-keep track na ko kinsa tong utangan sa ako o kang kinsa ko utangan pod. Because I easily forget, and that's why I take note on my phone. And so far, helpful there siya. There are a lot of apps that can help us kanang see our cash flow. So you take advantage of it. Or better yet, nice pod nga old school nga ilista jud siya para write it down on a notebook. Para dili jud siya malimtan nimo and you always have it handy on your notebook if ever, diba? Next principle that we must develop is we must save and invest for the future. Proverbs 21:20 says, "The wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets." Sakit kay siya, no? So it's like black and white. So you spend what you get or do you save? So that is the basis of you being wise and foolish. So asa man ka nang duha, diba? And Proverbs 13:11 also says, "Money that comes easily disappears quickly, but money that is gathered little by little will grow." So this is an encouragement for us na bahala og ginagmay basta kay consistent lang when you save and it will surely grow. Who here has savings? Either put in a bank or sa imong baol kung asam ni migutang dara. Basta kay savings. That's a good practice. Congrats, guys. So for us, we should always save because we might not know what will happen in the future. You save up to prepare ourselves for a future. Diba? I believe kita tanan ga-save magita, diba? But tendency nato is we save to spend. Mag-save up to para laptop. So, may kita mag-save or pagka man gasto, wala na ang kwarta. I remember a good friend of ours taught me this, that savings is considered spent for the future. So you don't spend it now, but you keep it to help you survive for the future. Especially karon in this time of pandemic, I believe some of us na lessen ang work hours, work days, or nawalan jud og trabaho. So how can you survive? Unsa man ang makatabang sa imo atong savings, di ba? So hopefully we all have that attitude good to save. All of these books here in front of me that talk about financial management is always talking about saving. And one of the person in this book I read says that you have to have the 70-30 principle. You live with 70% of your expenses, mo na imong gamit for your expense, and 30% imong isat aside to save. Apil na dara day ang tithes ha, so 20% ang imong savings. So in line with saving for the future, our next habit is talking about budgeting. We must budget our spending. I remember my cousin, kung mag-shopping, mag-uban niya og shopping, maingon siya sa ako, me, "Do you really need this? Sure ka kailangan na nimo?" Kanang she helps me think twice siya kung consent siya kung magpalit og something. Kay for me, especially kanang kung mag-sale na, maski dili kailangan paliton because sayang ang sale, di ba? But when you think about it, you're still spending. Nakasave ka 50%, but you bought something 50% na you don't need. So, diba? What is budgeting? Budgeting is planned spending. So, in line with keeping a good record, so imo i-list down, unsa man ang kailangan nimo i-spend? What are your necessities? Let's say, kuryente, tubig, bills, and mga other financial obligations, di ba? Pwede pud ka magbutang nga, if you want to have coffee in a coffee shop, let's say, ayaw pud every day, once a week na lang, or every other day. So, you have to plan your spending, where your money goes. Because it is important in order for you to have savings, you leave some for savings. Proverbs 21:20, medyo sakit ni siya. Stupid people spend their money as fast as they get it. So I hope kita when we receive our income, when we receive our allowance, we stop and think, maglista sa ta, how will I spend this money? First of all, set aside 10% for the Lord as our tithe. And then, save. Think, mag-set aside ka, pila imong i-save. And you work na dayon with what is left, muna rin na imong igamit for your spending, for your expense. Last principle that I want to share with you is, we must enjoy what we have. Let us stop thinking what we don't have, but be grateful for the things that you can afford and that you have in your hands right now. Because reality is, you cannot have everything. Magpalit ka og iPhone 10, taod-taod na po yung iPhone 11, diba? Kapoy kayo mag-apas with gadgets, with fashion, with travels, and a lot more. So we must be contented lang good with what we have. 1 Timothy 6:6 says, godliness with contentment is a great gain. Godliness with contentment. And Ecclesiastes 6:9, it says, it is better to be satisfied with what you have than to be always wanting something else. So these are some habits that we must develop or even improve on in order to be financially healthy. So we hope this helps you, and let us get excited for the next few weeks for this month because we will be having more of Money Matters. So feel free to comment below if na kay gusto nga topic that we will be talking about. We will also have practical video tutorial on how to make extra income, how to budget, how to sell and market your product, and a lot more. So I hope mag-join mo sa amwa every Thursday for our Unite gathering. So thank you and have a great night.